Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks. We are your hosts, Emma.
I'm Allie.
We are two best friends who like to review and recap our favorite horror films, and we usually like to have a beveragino or two while we are doing it. Allison, would you like to tell everyone what we are reviewing today?
Fuck yeah, bitch. Today we are reviewing the 1992 film Death Becomes Her. So we were like one when this came out.
I remember watching it.
When you were one?
As a 1-year-old.
Wow.
With my mama.
That's a bold mom right there.
This movie birthed me in a lot of ways.
For sure.
Was that weird? Sorry.
As a spoiler alert, we spoiled the shit out of everything. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go rent it somewhere, come back. And if you don't give a fuck, then listen on and come enjoy this ride with us, you fuckers. And speaking of youth potion, Emma, what have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, y'all. I just got back from the most amazing vacation in Costa Rica. And I was there for one of my best friends, Shelby, for her and her now husband, Tyler's wedding. And it was fantastic. I am sunburnt. I am hungover. I am tired and I am happy. But I'm definitely glad to be home and glad to be home with the producer and my puppies. But what have you been up to?
My dad turned 70.
Happy birthday, Dave.
Happy birthday, Dave. And we went out to the desert into the dark sky territory to watch the planetary alignment in Borrego Springs.
I love that.
It was wonderful. Yeah. So we spent his birthday looking at the stars.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It was fantastic.
Alice, what are you drinking today?
Oh, you know I have my things, girl. So I have my standard White Claw, and I've got my youth potion because, girl, we in our 30s. So I need to have that.
Must we start so soon?
I don't know. Maybe. And I have water for my big dumb cup.
And for your youth.
And for my youth. What are you drinking?
Okay, y'all are going to laugh at me because I am drinking a crisp apple Olipop today. No alcohol for me because your girl got a little lost in the sauce a night or two before the wedding in Costa Rica. And so I'm kind of in a detox right now, and I'm just trying to heal my body. It felt like I was in college again for a hot second. So, so anyways, cheers.
Cheers.
And may we forever be youthful. The synopsis for Death Becomes Her is when a fading actress learns of an immortality treatment, she sees it as a way to outdo her longtime rival.
Hot take is I've been listening to the Freddie Prinze Jr. horror podcast, and he also hates on the IMDb synopsi, whatever. And so I feel like he and I would be friends.
We are like kindred spirit podcasts?
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I feel like this synopsis really doesn't tell us everything about this film. I feel like it's kind of vague.
You know what? I just want to talk to Freddie P.
In terms of our IMDb rating, it has a 6.7 out of 10, which I can understand that this film may not be everybody's cup of tea. So I think that this is maybe surprisingly high for what I think a lot of people's actual thoughts on this film are. But what do you think, Alice?
Well, what do I think? I can tell you what I think, but Rotten Tomatoes says the tomato meter is 57% and the popcorn meter is 62. I didn't care for this movie. So
I'm so surprised by that. I feel like everyone that listens to this podcast knows that Allie is a big fan of campy horror. And so I really thought, Alice, that you were going to love this film. So I'm very surprised. Obviously, we're going to dig a lot more into your overall thoughts on it, but I am a little surprised that you didn't love it. I thought you were going to be like, Emma, I'm obsessed. This is my new favorite film. Alas, I was wrong.
Well, I'll give you this one little clue as to why I'm not prone to it is it hits a little too close to home in our 30s.
Imagine if I made you watch it 20 years from now.
Well, great. We'll be watching it 20 years from now in our recliners eating Cheetos. Like, I can't wait.
That sounds amazing.
I know, it does.
This film was directed by Robert Zemeckis.
And you guys know my guy, Robert Zemeckis. What did he direct?
Death Becomes Her.
That's amazing. But He also did the fucking Polar Express.
Finally, a direct
Finally.
relation to the Polar Express. She has been waiting for this.
When I saw this, I was like, this is my time to shine.
I unknowingly picked this movie without even really realizing that. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm glad we could keep that train ongoing.
Oh.
I don't even know if that really made sense, but
I liked it.
Here we are. And this film was also written by Martin Donovan and David Koepp, who...
Hey, David Koepp also did Jurassic Park, and that's for Emma right there.
Our top billed cast for this film has 3 super stacked actors, starting with Meryl Streep playing Madeline Ashton.
And I'm like, this is the fucking queen. Emma, quick question, real quick. What's your favorite role of hers?
The River Wild.
Okay, cool. Mine is probably Miranda Priestley. I don't know, in Devil Wears Prada.
Between those 2 films we just mentioned, those are 2 completely different characters. And Als, you haven't seen The River Wild, right?
I didn't know about it until you just said it earlier today.
Basically, she gets stranded with her family on a raft in the river, and Kevin Bacon is in it, and he's a bad guy.
Oh my God.
And he's like taking her family hostage and stuff.
You had me at Kevin Bacon.
It's really good. It's actually a very fantastic film. So
holy shit.
Yeah,
okay.
Just throwing that out there for everybody.
Love it.
Then we also have Goldie Hawn, who plays Helen Sharp. She is like the opposite main character from Meryl Streep. And obviously, you guys know her. I mean, we don't even have to mention. She's an icon.
Love her. She's an overboard, but I love her whole family and her dynamic.
Oh, yeah. She's amazing. And then we have Bruce Willis, who plays Ernest Menville. And y'all know Bruce. We are Bruce stans over here. Die Hard, Pulp Fiction, The Sixth Sense, Armageddon. Hello?
Look who's fucking talking.
Wait, he was in Look Who's Talking?
Dude, yes.
What?
He's one of the kids.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
It's one of my all-times.
Oh, wait. I love that film. Okay. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Ooh, we should watch that soon.
We should.
Okay. Anyways. And then we also have Isabella Rossellini, who plays Lissel von Rumen. And she was in a great film called Blue Velvet. So that's like our kind of main cast. And one thing I actually want to circle back to Meryl Streep is that even though her character, Madeline Ashton, in this film is portrayed as a 50 or over year old woman throughout most of the film, Meryl Streep was 43 years old when she shot this, and she looked fantastic.
And Goldie Hawn was 46.
God, they looked fantastic.
They looked better than I do right now.
I hope I look half that good when I'm that age. So props to them. Something else that was really cool about this film is that this is the first film that used photorealistic human skin software. I will say it's a little bit cheesy if you watch this film in like a remastered version, but I'm telling you, if you have like an old VHS of this film or you're seeing a rerun on TV or something, that is the way to watch it because the effects are outstanding. And this film won an Oscar in 1992 for Best Visual Effects, defeating Batman Returns and Alien 3. So that can tell you a lot right there.
And reminder, everybody, Emma likes this film a lot more than I do.
I've got all the fun facts. This was originally going to be a sequel to Tales from the Crypt from 1972, which is a favorite Halloween classic of Robert Zemeckis when he was a young man.
Robert! What's up, Robert?
Thanks to technological advances for this film, Industrial Light and Magic, which I believe is a company, they used some of the same techniques for Jurassic Park in the next year in 1993. So would you look at that connection? 20 years after the film's release, so in 2012, there was talk about a possible television spinoff on Bravo. Nothing came from it, sadly, but it was adapted into a musical play in 2024, which I would fucking love to see. All right, I was diving into this Fountain of Youth film review. The film opens in 1978 with Madeline Ashton, played by Meryl Streep, performing a disastrous Broadway musical called Songbird.
Do you think it was disastrous?
I thought it was fantastic.
So did I.
But everyone hated it.
So I'm confused by that.
Well, and the audience reacts with visible boredom. They're like mocking her self-indulgent performance. They hate it. But I will say that the beginning of this film, when it shows like the cityscape first before going into this Broadway theater, it's giving me like a Gotham cityscape feel. And I just love that that's what we get right when the film starts.
No, literally, I was like, is this poison ivy energy?
1000%.
That's exactly what I was feeling.
Oh my gosh. And Poison Ivy would take this potion.
She would. And I do love poison ivy. So I would too.
Oh my God. Wow. Amazing. Also, I want to note that Meryl looks great even before this potion.
She's beautiful.
So like no need, sister. And honestly, that's how we should feel about ourselves too. We need to be kinder.
That is a good point.
I do have a fun fact here, though, Als. So in the opening scene, Meryl Streep's character is starring in a musical version of Sweet Bird of Youth from 1962, which is a play by Tennessee Williams about an aging actress who pines for her lost youth.
Oh, well, that's meta.
Very meta. But like cool little like Easter egg. I feel like I never knew that until I researched this film a little bit more. So kind of cool.
I know, but still it's like this woman who's been a star her whole life and then now has gone to the stage and her show isn't going well. And I'm like, even though it is going well.
I know. It's like the turning point.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yes.
oh,
yes.
Scary.
Which is a trope we see a lot in films and TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In the audience of the show, we have Helen Sharp, who is an aspiring writer, and she's attending the show with her fiance, Ernest Menville. And so this is Goldie Hawn and Bruce Willis. Ernest is a brilliant plastic surgeon, and he is completely captivated by Madeline's beauty and her performance. And you hear him whisper at one point when he's in the seat. He's like the only person that's thinking the show is great. And he's like, she's sensational.
Can I ask you something?
Ask me.
Would you take your fiance to a show of your arch nemesis who gets all the boys?
I want to say yes, because like if it were the producer, like I'm confident enough in our relationship to be like, oh, we could go and I'm not worried. But maybe like any other person, probably no. Would you?
No, because I'd kill the person.
Oh, God. Okay, amazing.
And I'm like, dude, you failed. He thinks she's sensational. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Know your audience.
Not great. Not great.
Not great. Don't say she's sensational in front of your literal fiance.
He's just got those hard eyes on Madeline.
Oh, speaking of.
Oh.
What I will say is Meryl's performance is giving Mamma Mia so much in this.
It is.
And
it is.
I'm loving it.
Mamma Mia, here we go again. Well, and backstage, Helen and Ernest go and visit Madeline. It's a weird energy that Helen and Madeline are having. It's like they're old friends, but it's just kind of weird. And even at one point, before they actually arrive into the room, Madeline's assistant is like, oh, these people are here to see you. And she's like, how does she look? Because she like wants to know if her old friend is beautiful.
Like, why would you ask that?
It's weird. It's definitely weird.
It's super weird, but this is kind of how female friendships have gone throughout the years.
I was just going to say that.
And it is not healthy, but it's unfortunately true.
Yeah, I think that like you and I very fortunately are girls,
Yeah.
where we wouldn't have these thoughts probably. Or if we saw each other and we were looking great, we'd be like, oh my God, you were gorgeous. But that's not the first thing that we would like think about. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, I feel like in show business or entertainment or anything kind of along those lines, you have a lot of just fake surface level relationships, like women to women.
Totally. I wouldn't even call us girls. I think I'd call soulmates, best friends, because girls have unfortunately got like a negative connotation towards it now.
You think?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Based on social media, which is also toxic.
Also toxic.
It's the how does she look of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, upon Helen and Ernest seeing Madeline immediately can vibe that Ernest is into her. And she starts flirting with him literally in front of his fiancée, Helen, and is sort of using her charm to seduce him.
Before they even come to the room, she kind of comes down with her robe and like reveals her bustier and ruffles her feathers on her robe and feathers her hair. And I'm like, bitch, you know what you're fucking doing.
Oh yeah, she knows. Well, and the tension between Helen and Madeline is palpable, for sure. And this is setting the stage for their entire rivalry throughout this entire movie. And When all of them are in the room together, it's so clear Ernest he's now up a level, right? Like first he's saying she's so sensational as he's just watching her in the performance. But now he's like in the room with her. She's flirting with him. And even Helen says, he never told me he had such a Madeline Ashton thing. It's like, there's like some not good stuff going on here.
But again, like, why would you bring your fiance to the show?
It's a movie, baby.
I know. Thank you. Sorry.
Madeline asks Helen how her writing is going, and Helen's being super modest about it and really modest about her answer. But then Madeline just immediately changes the subject and starts asking Ernest if he thinks that she needs some of his plastic surgery services. She's just being so completely fake with Helen, and it's just really sad. Then later, Madeline and Ernest go to a business dinner together, and Helen gets super upset by this, rightfully so, and warns him of Madeline's intimidation and says that she obviously only wants him because Helen has him, which is so sad. You know, it's just like that classic game of manipulation and trying to get someone just because someone else wants them.
All I'm saying, people, is life's not a competition, but apparently it is. What I will also say is hair and makeup did Goldie Hawn dirty with those fucking bangs at the beginning of this movie.
I think that was purposeful.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Supposed to make her look kind of homely, I think.
But while she's hearing about the business dinner with Madeline, she's wrapping a napkin around her finger and just like strangling her finger with a napkin. And we see that throughout the film. And I'm like, that's going to fuck with your skin, girl.
Yeah. And also like not good. She's obviously suppressing a lot of stress. Ernest tells her repeatedly, I have absolutely no interest in Madeline Ashton.
And once he said that, I was like, I fucking know the next thing I'm going to hear is wedding bells.
And what do you know? The very next thing we see is Ernest and Madeline getting married and looking as happy as can be, with Ellen watching in absolute heartbreak and disdain. I can't believe she's even at the wedding.
Well, and she'd still be fucking wrapping her finger with that napkin.
She got a thing for napkins.
I guess so. Shit. And riddle me this, okay, Emma. Is he hot enough to wrangle these two sexy ass bitches?
I think that's kind of the point, though, here, is it's not about him being anything.
It's competition
good.
Between women?
Yes.
Oh, I hate that.
I think it's all about, because Helen was engaged to him, Madeline must have him, and therefore Helen wants to get him back because they each want to feel in their own right that they have won. And they're using Ernest as a pawn in their game. Just my thoughts. But
I mean, I'm sure you're right. That makes me sad.
Very sad. Very sad. Then 7 years later, Helen is now obese. She's super depressed after losing Ernest to Madeline. And it's just a lot of shit is going down with this poor girl.
She's in some kind of apartment and she's like a hoarder with a bajillion cats. And she's in her sweats eating Crisco or something. I can't really tell, but I'm here for it.
She's really getting down.
She's getting down and she's like, I don't give a fuck anymore. And she's just like sitting eating. I'm like, you look great, sweetie, and this might be the future me.
Oh my God, stop it.
Me with cats and Crisco?
I mean, not far off.
It could be me with like cats and White Claw, but yeah, I'm not sure.
There we go. We find out in the scene that she has been evicted from her apartment and that her landlord has been having a hard time actually getting her out. This like big kind of public meltdown ensues involving a pretty violent outburst where she's watching Sweet Bird of Youth, which is in the film, a film that Madeline Ashton is in. I love this part because Helen is sitting there with the remote pointed at the TV and she's rewinding and playing the scene of Madeline Ashton dying over and over again. She looks psycho with her eyes.
And they have this bitchin' close-up on her face while she's rewatching this. It's just like, she's like, yes, 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 kill,
she's
kill,
loving
kill.
it.
Yes, yeah, she loves it.
This is her napkin of the moment.
This is her napkin.
So then, no surprise, Helen is institutionalized in a psychotic hospital where she's still obsessively fixating on Madeline, and her doctor's super frustrated that they haven't made any progress. Like, even in one of her group therapy sessions, they're like, Helen, do you have anything new to tell us? And she's like about to say something, and then she brings up Madeline, and all of them are just like, no, yeah, like, not again, like, da da da. It's so funny.
They're all just like, fucking bitch, like, stop talking about this ass hat.
They're like, you have not made progress, girlfriend.
What's kind of disturbing about this part too is after that session, the doctor that is treating her is like, you haven't lost a pound even since you were here. And I'm like, hey, we don't body shame anyone.
Yeah, like, ouch. Okay.
We don't do that.
Yeah, let's focus on my obsession first.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the weight.
And then we get to the other toxic problems.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So at this point in the film, we fast forward again another 7 years, and we see Madeline, and she's living in Beverly Hills with Ernest. Madeline is absolutely obsessed with her fading beauty and her diminishing career. You can just tell that she's like undergoing a lot of stuff. She does different treatments, all kinds of things to try to maintain her youth.
She has this amazing housekeeper, Rose, who is bringing up a tray to her with a breakfast and a face mask, like one of those ones that has like ice in it. And Madeline also requires Rose to say, you look younger every day.
I love that. Honestly, producer, please say that to me every single day when I wake up.
My husband just goes, what time is it?
He's like, Allie, is that you? As she's served breakfast by Rose in bed, she opens an envelope with 2 tickets to Helen Sharp's book release, and the book is called Forever Young. And then I love this part because Madeline goes, and eternally fat. Ha! And I'm like, whoa, shots fired.
That is shots fired, but it'll go back to fire her.
That's true. Then we get to see Ernest and what he's been up to. And we can see that, once a talented surgeon, Ernest has now weirdly become a depressed alcoholic, and he is working as a mortician for very wealthy clients. And
okay, quick question.
Oh, answer.
Would you ever be a mortician?
Yes.
Cool. Me too.
I think I've told this on the podcast before, but my 2 friends, Carly and Shannon, we used to go out to bars and tell men that I was a mortician, that Carly was I think it's called a deserologist, where they're the ones that do the makeup and like all of the body makeup for the dead.
Yeah.
And then Shannon was a forensic pathologist.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah. So.
And then I'm the planner for the
funeral for the services.
For the services.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
One thing I want to note in this scene that I wrote in my notes is that Ernest has a Bloody Mary, and damn, that Bloody looked good.
He tastes it and he's like, Rose, I need more vodka in this. Shit, man.
Crazy guy.
Ernest goes on a call for a patient. What's the word? What's the term?
A client.
A client?
Maybe. I guess it's a client.
A
dead person.
A deceased. A deceased who needs to be prepped for on an open casket. But you can tell he's depressed about what he's doing. And the funeral director is like, you can't make his face have character. People need to recognize him. I thought that was funny. They were like, you can't make him be
good
nice.
Looking. Yeah, and look nice. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, and then so later in preparation for Helen's party, Madeline goes to a pretty intense beauty spa this time. And she's trying to get another plasma treatment, but they're telling her, they're like, Madeline, like, you can't get one more than every 6 months. And she's like really trying to get one and is sort of freaking out about it.
And she's like, bitch, it's like been 6 months basically. And they're like, it's been 3 weeks. So.
Desperado.
And the nurse is like, I could do your makeup if you need to go to this special event or something. I don't know, girl.
Yeah, not good
Get
enough
a facial
for Madeline. Yeah.
Get like a normal facial.
Well, and she freaks out on the nurse and is freaking out about her beauty, how she's losing it. Then they both are in the room and they get spooked by Mr. Chagall, who is sitting in the room, kind of just taking in everything that's happening. And a fun fact here is that when Mr. Chagall abruptly shows up during Madeline's appointment with Anna at the beauty spa, Anna, the whole time up until this point, had a French accent. But at this moment when they see Mr. Chagall, she loses that French accent. And this is to show that the beauty spa is essentially fake.
It's fucking
and it's
fake.
a very shallow environment. And Anna and the receptionist's fake European accents are just part of the facade. So I thought that was kind of funny because I did notice in the film watching it again, like it'd been years since I seen it. And I was like, wait, did she just lose her accent? But I love that it was very intentional.
All of it is just a facade. Everything.
Everything. It's just
Literally all of it.
beauty, surface level, baby.
And beauty fades, bitch.
Well, Mr. Chagall sends the nurse out and talks to Madeline about someone named Liselle von Roman who may be able to help her. He says, this is a very select group. Do you understand? This is very, very exclusive, and he doesn't obviously offer this to all clients, and this is a very special circumstance for her.
I think he knows that she's rich as fuck, and he's like, do you understand exclusive? And
like money is no object
money
here.
is no object. And she's like, yeah, bitch, like, I get it. So the doctor leaves the room, and Madeline rips up the card and is like, this fucking weirdo. And I love when Meryl plays a bitch because it's giving Miranda Priestley.
She's so good at it. This is where Miranda Priestley was born.
I know. I wonder if that's why they gave her that role.
100%. After Madeline gets home from the spa, her and Ernest make their way to Helen's party. So they actually decide to go. At the party, they haven't seen Helen yet, but Ernest and Madeline sort of go separate ways. It's very clear, I think, in these early scenes with them as a married couple that they really don't like each other anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear. So Ernest meets a woman at the bar, and she's complimenting his work on her dead aunt, her dead Aunt Esther's makeup, and asks what his secret is. And he says that spray paint is what he uses. And then she walks away super offended, like, what the fuck, you put spray paint on my dead aunt?
She was so offended. I also say, should we try spray paint on our faces?
Maybe later. I would say let's wait until it gets dire. But maybe when we have nothing else left to live for,
Great.
we can do that. Seems like such a small part, but it really comes into play later with the spray paint.
It sure does. Yeah.
So I love that. Helen then arrives at the party. At first, we see her and she is kind of seen from the back. We actually see a larger woman standing in front of her at first, and Madeline and Ernest think that that is Helen. And then that woman gets out of the way, and Helen is looking stunningly youthful and elegant and just shocking Madeline and Ernest both.
And honestly, Madeline and Helen look fucking amazing. Meryl and Goldie, you go girls.
They looked stunning.
They look
this whole film.
Stunning.
Yeah, even
And
before all of the youth shit.
I know. And it's shocking. It's not shocking to me because they are gorgeous, but holy shit.
Yeah, Helen looks good. They kind of exchange these backhanded pleasantries, and Madeline makes a comment about getting Ernest at Helen's expense. But Helen is clear. She's like, don't worry, girlfriend. Like, it was Ernest. Like, I have never blamed you.
And she also says, you didn't steal him. He went to you. Again, why would you go to the party of this woman that you've kind of scorned?
I think, again, it's like Madeline is just obsessed with being better than her. So to her, it's like, oh, well, let's go because I already took her husband. She's probably thinking, oh, I probably still look a million times better than her because the last thing I heard was that she was morbidly obese. And so she's thinking that they're going to be at that party to really like show themselves off. But then they get utterly surprised by Helen's appearance.
Okay, that makes me even more sad.
I know. It's sad.
Okay.
So then later at the party, Madeline witnesses Ernest walking off with Helen, and she spies on them a little bit. And Helen tells him that she has never blamed him for leaving her, and that she took a talented surgeon and turned him into an undertaker. And she's basically talking a lot of shit about Madeline, and she's hearing it all.
I'll also say there's nothing wrong with being an undertaker because I've always wanted to be one. So
Yeah, I would love if someone was like, you're a fucking undertaker.
And Helen's games, I'm like, she belongs on the Traitors. I don't know if you watch that show.
The producer actually really loves that show.
Oh, so do I.
That's with Alan Cumming, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
God, love Alan Cumming.
She belongs on the show because the way she's playing these people, she could win.
Oh, she could. It's very manipulative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And this whole encounter sort of deepens Madeline's insecurities and definitely leaves her in despair, which she kind of already was in before having seen this. I think that she was hoping to come to this book party and get a couple of notches of like self-confidence and self-esteem, and it went direly in the other direction for her. After the party, reeling from Helen's appearance and just being so shocked by that, Madeline confronts her young lover, who we are introduced to.
Yeah, she like literally bounces out of the house and she's like, I'm going. And she's in this hot little baby blue romper
jumpsuit. Yeah.
And she shows up at her little lover's house, Dakota, and he has another lover in his midst.
And it's a woman more his own age, because we have deduced that he is her much younger lover.
He also says to Madeline, when we're out together, people think that you're my mom. And I'm like, okay, asshole move.
Very, very much so.
Also, Madeline might need to get an STD test because he seems like a little motherfucker.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, shit.
With Madeline being devastated, she drives aimlessly through the rain and abruptly stops in the middle of a road after seeing her own rain-soaked reflection in the rear view mirror, and it kind of scares her a little bit. While she's looking for a tissue in her purse, she finds the ripped-up card of Lisel von Rumen. And meanwhile, Helen is at her apartment and she's getting ready to visit Madeline, and she is practicing an urgent tone in front of the mirror. Like she's going to go to Helen and Ernest's house and say, I need to see Madeline at once. I love to see how we just still see her utter obsession with Madeline. And even to this day, and there's a huge sign over Helen's mirror as she's practicing this that says never again. And she has all these articles and like clippings of Madeline over the years in different like newspapers and magazines and stuff.
So I'm wondering, like, when in the 7 years from her overweight rehab or whatever she was doing to now that she decided like she needed to create a shrine.
Just that obsession, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. And I'm like, Emma, have you ever been that obsessed or mad at somebody to create a shrine?
No, but I was so obsessed with surfing when I was younger that I would make like many a shrine and many a collage of all my surfing magazines. But I feel like we all kind of did that as kids.
You little Blue Crush.
And yeah, I'm 100% Anne-Marie Chadwick from Blue Crush.
I had a wall of Jack Dawson.
Oh, of course.
Of course I did.
Yes, oh
yes,
my
yes.
gosh. Back with Madeline, Madeline eventually arrives at the mansion of Lisel von Rumen, who is a mysterious and glamorous, beautiful socialite, it seems.
She also has like several servant boys, and I'm here for it. They all look like they're from the 80s and could be in the Lost Boys movie and singing like, what is it called, Emma? I Still Believe.
I still believe.
Yeah. Like oiled up with long hair. And she has a bunch of them. Like, good for her.
They just need a saxophone, baby.
Yeah.
I actually thought the same thing. I'm so glad you brought up the Lost Boys. I was like, this is giving Lost Boys energy. It was really cool.
I was like, fuck yeah.
So Madeline meets Lisel, or she said that she's always thought that Madeline was one of the most beautiful faces to ever grace the silver screen.
I would be pissed if I heard somebody say you were one or was one. I'm like, okay, bitch.
I still am.
I still am one. But I will say that Lisel's outfit is fucking amazing. She has just basically like necklaces covering her boobies.
Her boobies.
And I'm so here for it. And it kind of reminds me of a Nox and a Moon in The Mummy.
Absolutely.
Right? And how her hair just covers her little boobies.
We love a couture outfit.
Yeah.
A very Scandi outfit.
I'm pretty sure Anna Wintour would approve.
She would be invited to the Met.
I'm pretty sure these are Met looks.
They are. Well, so Lisel offers Madeline a magical potion that guarantees eternal youth and beauty. And it's in this like case that she has, taken the bow off of, and then it opens up like a flower. It's like a very like dramatic little scene, and you just see this like random potion in a bottle in the middle.
She's a marketer.
She is. She knows how to market the product.
And as a marketer, would you take this?
I'm going to say no.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say no. Would you?
Honestly,
I feel like
probably.
you would. Yeah. She's shaking it at you. It tastes like black cherry White Claw.
Honestly, if it tasted like Capri Sun, I'd be like, yeah. But when Madeline sees how much it's going to cost, she's like, I don't know if I need this. Then LaSalle is like, girl, I'm 70s. And she looks like she's like, what, 20s?
She looks very young. Yeah, I would say like maybe late 20s, like early 30s.
And after hearing that, Madeline's like, okay, is the check okay?
Well, and I think she puts a little bit on Madeline's hand.
Oh, yeah.
And her hands, like they're just naturally, they've a little bit weathered as hands get over time being in sunshine all day long.
Yeah.
And Lissel puts a little bit on Madeline's hand and just you see the youthfulness come back to her hand. And I think that's really what sold her. She's like, oh yeah, like if this can do this to my hand, this can do this to my entire body. And I'm in. And so skeptical, but definitely desperate, Madeline drinks the potion, and this instantly rejuvenates her entire appearance.
And at some point, LaSalle speaks about the potential symptoms, and I'm like
the risks, basically, right?
Yeah, but wouldn't you ask about that before?
You should. You definitely should.
Yes.
We see in front of our eyes, Madeline's boobs get perkier, her skin has less wrinkles and is brighter, her ass gets a little plump, and a fun fact here in this scene is that a special bra was built to create the effect where Meryl Streep's breasts come together higher and firmer after drinking the potion. But the effect didn't look realistic enough, so in order to get the shot, Streep's dresser stood behind her out of sight of the camera and pushed her breasts into position. And it looks damn good, I will say.
I'm not going to lie, I thought it looked a little hokey on my end.
I loved it. I was like, this is amazing.
Fair enough.
Als, I had a similar mummy thought as you during this scene because as Lissel is warning Madeline to care for her body really carefully, and she says, you need to disappear from the public after 10 years. You must never tell anybody about this. This whole scene to me is just giving me like mummy vibes, and I love it.
Totally. And I love that we both came to mummy conclusions. And what just popped into my mind is fucking Twilight.
Oh.
How they have to move every so years.
Because they don't age.
Because they don't age.
Absolutely.
It all comes back to fucking Twilight, dude.
It fucking does, dude. Damn. And meanwhile, Helen goes to Madeline and Ernest's home, just like she was planning as she was rehearsing in the mirror. And while Madeline is away, she seduces Ernest and somehow easily convinces him that they need to murder Madeline so that they can be together.
I want to know why Helen wants to be with Ernest so fucking badly.
So Ernest and Madeline scheme to stage Madeline's death. And there's this whole scene where they're kind of planning it and we're seeing as the viewer a daydream almost of this all playing out. And they're planning on disguising it all as an accident. And Helen devises this whole plan to have Ernest drug Madeline while they're at dinner with Narcanol. And then they'll stage this car accident by sending her off the cliffs at Mulholland Drive. And a fun fact here is that during the description of the plot to kill Madeline, there was a quick shot of a folder being stamped case closed at a desk. And on the desk has a brain in a glass jar labeled abnormal, which is a tribute to the original Frankenstein or to the spoof Young Frankenstein from 1974.
It's Abby Normal.
So love that. I love a little Easter egg, you guys.
Do too.
See, aren't you loving this a little bit more, Els?
No.
Oh, okay. Just kidding. As Helen is saying all of this and planning all of this, at first Ernest is definitely questioning Helen's ideas, but she successfully manipulates him into thinking that they can start their lives over again if Madeline is gone. And Helen's manipulative nature shines as she uses Ernest's bitterness to her advantage because Ernest is not necessarily in the most happy marriage with Madeline. So he's kind of seeing this also as a way out for him.
I think we need a little bit of more context about where Ernest is mentally because he's being pulled in several different like chaotic directions. Like one psycho bitch that you were like engaged to wants to now like fuck you again, but then you're married to her
Another psycho bitch,
and she also hates you.
Yeah. He seems easily manipulated, moldable, kind of easily persuaded. Lots of just, he's not giving like strong, confident man energy. Madeline eventually returns home and she's glowing from her transformation. She's feeling great, but she gets in an argument with Ernest.
And while they're arguing, she's like admiring her new body in the mirror. She's got like this like 3-pronged mirror and she looks amazing, but it kind of makes me sad. She's like, ooh, even though she looked amazing beforehand.
Ernest complains that she'll be after his money and asks like what's the last time that she worked? Basically, like he's the one that is carrying this entire relationship financially. And she fights back with her words and she calls him a failure and flaccid. I love that. I love that dig. And she says that she could probably get more action from some of his clients because at least they'd be stiff. I'm like, oh, she's a jokester. And this fight escalates until Ernest shoves her down the stairs. And she has a very dramatic fall. We hear a lot of bones breaking, see her neck kind of go completely around. And he's for sure believing that she's dead. And I love this part because it's very much comically long stairs of her like falling the entire time.
And these stairs come into play later. And I get the art of the scene, but there's no way in hell that anyone could like stand or lose their balance for that amount of time standing on the stairs like she was. Like her heels are like literally off of the stairs.
It's comedic.
I know.
Yeah, it's campy. It's campy.
And you know I love camp, but like to me this was like, okay, this is I don't know.
After Ernest thinks that she is dead, and when she doesn't move at the bottom of the stairs, he checks her pulse and he's freaking out. He's like, she's dead. And he calls Helen immediately to tell her the news.
And I feel like it's so funny how Helen is just so kind of curt and strict with what she's saying to him. She's like, okay, we'll just like, let's get this done with. And she's sitting there with her beautiful mirror set up with all of her shit, with her makeup and everything. And she's just being super curt, saying, okay, well, just tell me what we need to do and I will take care of it, blah, blah, blah. And she also has all of her shrine shit all around her. And she's wearing a shirt that just says, just do it. And I love that that's like, yeah, sure, it's Nike, but it's also like, just do it. Like, fucking kill your wife.
Like, yeah, just why don't you do it? I love this part too, because behind Ernest, he doesn't realize as he's on the phone with Helen, Madeline is rising. She's kind of blurry in the background, but you can see that her head is so grotesquely twisted backward and she's just like kind of getting herself together. It's like someone like rising from the dead. And a fun fact I have for this is that in this scene where the resurrected Madeline confronts Ernest, Meryl Streep had to wear a blue screen hood over her head while walking backward. Her neck was covered with prosthetics to give the illusion of a severely broken and twisted neck. And on a separate day, Streep, while wearing a long-sleeve blue screen shirt and sitting in a spin chair in front of a blue screen, was filmed from the waist up as she did Madeline's lines and facial expressions. Then, in post-production, the two shots were digitally composed together in order to give this whole, like, effect that she has her neck completely twisted around and backwards.
I love it for the reason that Ernest is like, okay, she's dead, whatever, and Madeline rises up like this torturous person that she looks like, and she's like, oh, I just have to make a telephone call, 911, right? Meanwhile, her head is turned all the way around back. And,
yeah, she's
and Ernest
not
is
getting
like,
it.
what the fuck?
She's angrily confronting him. She's like, Ernest, like, look at me. I gotta go, dude. Ernest panics and takes her to the hospital. And at the hospital, Madeline is seen by the doctor. He is freaking out because he has no idea why a lot of medical things about her condition and stuff are really like not making sense. Like she has no pulse. Her body temperature is below 80 degrees. It's a very like weird scene. And the doctor that's seeing her really has no idea like what's happening.
I will say one thing. Have you watched Severance?
No. Is that the new show?
It is new.
With like Ben Stiller?
He directs it. But the scene where Ernest is walking down the hospital hall and like walking frantically looks like a scene from Severance.
Oh, maybe they got inspiration from this film.
Yeah, maybe.
And as the doctor is freaking out about Madeline's condition and is very visibly confused and everything, she's declared like technically dead because she has no pulse. And again, the body temperature is below 80 degrees. And Ernest is so stressed and he takes a sip from a flask and the doctor asks for a sip as well, which I love that little part. The doctor leaves the room. He's going to go try and get some more help. Ernest also leaves the room after the doctor leaves because she faints and he's trying to get her some more help. As this happens and she's left in the room by herself unconscious, she is mistakenly taken to the morgue. Ernest has to come and grab her, just truly realizing the gravity of her condition and that everyone thinks she's dead. Like, this is very, very scary.
I wonder how many felonies he's committed already.
Oh my God, so many. Too many to count. And Ernest is so intrigued by her condition. And he kind of gets this weird, like almost second wind of love with her. And he's like, we belong together. And it's a miracle that she's defying all natural law. He seems like very interested in what's going on with her now. Ernest brings Madeline home. And we see Helen spying on them from outside the gates of the house.
Wouldn't you like just give up if you were Helen? I don't know.
I think she's probably just so confused because Ernest probably isn't telling her everything. Like, obviously, he hasn't told her everything that they experienced at the hospital. Helen's probably very confused as to what's going on. And I mean, Ernest did call her to come over.
I know. But again, going back to what I said earlier, does Ernest deserve them both?
No,
Exactly.
1000% no. But then after picking up some supplies from his mortuary, Ernest uses his mortician skills to repair Madeline's body. Spray paint, baby.
I love it.
And Helen officially arrives and she is demanding to know what's going on. And she brings a rope and a shovel with her. Madeline kind of overhears Helen and Ernest discussing their plot to kill her. She was a homewrecker, a man-eater, and she was a bad actress. It's so funny because Helen is like ready to like get rid of the body, but because she doesn't realize that Madeline is actually still alive. Madeline is furious at this, and she grabs a shotgun and comes down and shoots Helen in the stomach, leaving a massive hole. Ernest is freaking out by this, saying they need to call the police, all these things. And Madeline threatens to tell the police everything he did if he doesn't work with her to get rid of Helen's body. Like, there's a lot of just like back and forth going on in this entire scene.
So Helen survives, and we now know that she has taken Leslie's potion too, and Madeline and her are like sisters in
youth potion.
Youth potion.
And they engage in this comically violent fight between the two of them. Like, Madeline has a shovel, there's a shotgun, and it's so funny because they're just like, on guard, bitch. And a fun fact during this scene is that Meryl Streep accidentally scarred Goldie Hawn's cheek with a shovel during this fight scene.
I saw that, and it's like still there.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know it was still there. Oh my gosh, what an interesting little memory.
But like a fun, like a little, like a treat.
Yeah.
Who needs a tattoo when you have a scar?
When you have a scar from your weird arch nemesis bestie, kind of.
Yeah. Or tripping in the streets of New Orleans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. So they argue a little bit more about things that they've done to each other over the years, but then they weirdly apologize to each other and kind of have this moment of like coming together because they realize that they are now both in exactly the same boat.
It's literally, if you just want to summarize this film in like 4 minutes, watch Taste, the music video by Sabrina Carpenter, and this is what it is.
Yeah, from this point. Helen and Madeline go upstairs to find Ernest because he has left them at this point. He's like, y'all can fight in peace. And they tell him that they've made up and they apologize to him as well. He tells them that he's come to the decision that he's leaving. And the girls are like, no. Ernest, you cannot leave. We need you to stay around because you got to be able to like fix us. And he does agree. And he says on one condition, when he's done, he wants to go. He doesn't want to think about them ever again. And they actually agree.
I'm just mad at Ernest because like, fucking shit, man. You had all this opportunity to say, fuck you both. You went for both of them anyways. And now you want out. And now both
Finally.
Yeah, but I'm here for these girls wanting to fucking slaughter you.
Well, I don't think they want to slaughter him.
Eh.
They actually want him around to fix them.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah. And after he fixes them, Madeline and Helen end up dragging Ernest to Lissel's mansion after trying to drug one of his drinks. So their thought process is that if they can also get him to live forever and take the potion that they've taken, that they will have a man for literally ever who will be able to fix them anytime they need it. Lissel offers him the potion for free, promising eternal youth and life. And he's a little bit interested by it at first. Again, he's like, kind of like, okay, this is obviously very enticing, but you can tell he doesn't really want it. You can see that he's thinking about how he might be able to even be a surgeon again, maybe get rid of his alcoholism. It seems like he's got pretty shaky hands, which is probably another reason why he doesn't do surgery anymore. And Lissel tells him, she's like, you gave other people youth and wasted your own, which, oof, that cuts.
That cuts super deep, just like Ernest does.
And then she also says, siempre viva, which she said in the beginning when she gave Madeline the potion as well, which means live forever. Seeing the toll of that immortality has taken on the women, on Madeline and Helen, Ernest is like, wait, fuck no, I don't want this offer. And he's like, I want to live a normal life. And he says, you people all have to be stopped.
I don't necessarily agree with his sentiment because don't we all want to live forever?
True. But none of us really succeed.
True.
So he's seeing it happen in real time.
I know. Ernest escapes the room where he was with Liesel and they go into this party where the owner of Madeline's spa is making an announcement and asking people who have staged their deaths to avoid popping up to make a few headlines. And in the crowd, we see Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe, and Elvis Presley. I'm like, what the fuck?
So clearly they all took the posh and they have faked their deaths.
So this posh has been around for a couple decks, you know?
It has been. The posh has been around for a couple decks. The gals, Madeline and Helen, they see Ernest trying to escape the party and they go after him. And they have this dramatic little cat and mouse chase where now they're up in like the higher levels of this building castle mansion thing. And at some point he says, I'm sorry, dears, you're on your own. Ernest, unfortunately, falls from the roof into Lissel's pool and disappears into the night without drinking the potion. The posh.
And he sees Jim Morrison, which we love.
As he's on his way out of the party. Yeah, I was like, Jim, what's up, brother? Lizard King.
What up?
And Ernest leaves the party by stealing a car. Smart man.
Love.
And Helen and Madeline argue that neither of them have found Ernest yet, and they notice that their skin is starting to peel pretty bad and that they have no one to fix them. They kind of realize that they are stuck together for eternity and that their decaying bodies are going to begin to require like constant maintenance and that they just have to rely on each other to survive. And they laugh a little bit at this point, imagining painting each other's asses forever, which I love. I felt like that would be like you and me.
Literally,
just like,
I was just going to say, I would paint your ass. Would you paint mine?
Of course.
Okay.
Then fast forward 37 years later, Madeline and Helen are attending Ernest's funeral, where he's celebrated for being a man who's led a really meaningful and adventurous life. I think that they have photos of him like rock climbing and like doing crazy shit. Didn't he do like Everest?
Mount Everest, yeah.
Yeah, like he's a crazy guy. And in a stark contrast, the women are sort of parodies of their former selves with peeling paint and cracked skin and barely holding them together.
They're sitting in the back of this funeral and they're dressed in black and they have like, what would you say, like a cloak over their face? What did you call that?
Veils, like a black veil over their
black
face.
Veils. And it's not because they're mourning Ernest's death. It's because they be peeling.
They be looking crazy.
But they're also laughing in the back of this funeral. I love you girls.
They're silly.
They're silly.
After the funeral, as they're leaving the church, Helen trips at the top of the stairs, very similarly to how Madeline tripped and fell off of the stairs earlier in the film. Helen grabs Madeline as she's falling, and they both tumble down, literally shattering into pieces.
I think they're at the end of the staircase. I think they're like still alive.
Oh, no, they're fully still alive. They're like talking to each other. And the scene ends with their disembodied heads rolling around together. And Helen sarcastically asks, "Do you remember where you parked the car?"
I love that.
And then that is Fiend. That is the film.
Fiend.
That is it. Els, I've been waiting. Give us your thoughts.
So I was not a fan of this film just because I thought I do love a campy film, but this one was just not for me, even though I love a friendship film. And this is like, this would be me and Emma. However, I'm like, I wouldn't do this over Bruce Willis, you know?
No. Absolutely not. Did you think it was scary?
I did not. I thought it was silly. And the scariest things for me were the tropes of like age and beauty. I think that was more sad than scary, but like that's what it was for me. What about you?
So, I mean, I don't think I ever thought this film was scary, even when I saw it as a kid, but it's kind of considered like more like body horror, I think is more of what it classifies into, or like comedy horror. But I will say I love this film. I just think that everything about it is so exaggerated, and I love the acting between the three main characters. I also feel like death becomes her walked so that the substance could run.
Oh, we haven't even talked about that yet. Yes.
I feel like the substance is this generation's death becomes her.
Yeah.
And especially because I watched them both kind of close together. And I urge a lot of you guys listening right now, if you've seen this film and you haven't seen The Substance yet, please go and watch it and let me know your thoughts, because I found a lot of like recurring themes, because Demi Moore is this like aging actress and she's trying to find a way to stay youthful and stay relevant. And it's all like she takes a substance and then that she thinks it's going to improve her life. It obviously doesn't. And it's also very much a body horror movie. So I feel like there were a lot of parallels that I could like really connect in there. And I also just loved the amount of like Easter eggs in this film. With this being such a campy film, it does have some really deep themes of like aging and beauty and just the lengths people go to maintain their youth and maintain their beauty, even against all like ethics and all sane thoughts.
And for a man in this film.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's a little bit deeper than that. Personally, I think it's always been about the competition between
the two.
Helen and Madeline. I really think that Ernest in this film truly is just a game piece to their board game. He is a physical way for them to show each side winning in some way when they each had him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it just also shows like how surface level we can be sometimes out there. And like, please don't go to a random woman's house to drink a potion.
I'll do it.
Yeah. And that's why LA is a first girl. Yeah, I didn't really think it was as scary at all. But Els, what was your favorite scene?
So I love when Liesl tells one of her random sexy oiled up mans to get up because she wants Madeline to sit down.
Oh, also, I have a fun fact there, actually. We didn't mention this.
Oh.
Fabio is one of the guys.
No, he's not.
Yes, I don't think he's one of the main ones.
Shut the fuck up.
He's one in like the background, but that is something that the producer and I found out.
I love that even more.
I know. Sorry. Thank you for bringing that up. Wow.
Well, what's your favorite scene?
I think I just love the ending with them in the black veils. Like that is just, it totally reminded me of you and I.
I was literally just gonna say that's you and I like just going out
and just
on our
being
deathbeds.
funny and dumb, and then like something bad happening to us and the other person being like, well, do you remember where you parked the car? Like just, I loved it.
No,
I loved it.
It's gonna be you and I tripping out and like, where's the nearest Taco Bell?
Yeah. 100%.
Where can we get some blue Powerade?
Where can we get it? But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great film. Ali, thank you for enduring that with me. And I think that this will come out right before Valentine's Day. And I think that this is a fun little
entry into Valentine's Day.
And a love triangle story a little bit.
This is our little Valentine's Day card to you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You're welcome.
Before we take you out this evening, take you out. That could mean many things.
A lot of things.
If you are not already following us on social media, you guys can find us at Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks on Instagram and TikTok. We also have a Patreon if you want to join us over there, and it's a great way for you to support the podcast. We do ask that if you love the podcast, please give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen, or simply just tell a friend. Spread the love, spread the horror love. And Allie, with that.
Age is just a number, you guys. No guy is worth shooting a cartoon-sized hole into your enemies. And stay spooky, fuckers.